This past week was an exciting one for Nintendo fans with a couple of long-awaited announcements. Just not the one many were expecting. Xenoblade Chronicles X, one of the last few Nintendo-published games exclusive to the Wii U, has now jumped ship to Nintendo Switch. The game will release on March 20th, 2025, allowing players to explore and fly giant mechs around the planet Mira in a portable format, and meaning that every single Xenoblade game is now on the Switch. Also unveiled this week was Nintendo Music, a streaming app for Nintendo Switch Online subscribers that allows users to play many of their favorite bops from Nintendo's audio catalog. The service has a rather limited selection so far, but new music is being added relatively consistently and has the neat feature of allowing you to loop certain songs, so you can extend songs for up to an hour if you really want the Rito Village theme to play endlessly in your ears. These announcements, while cool, were not the Nintendo Switch 2 that a lot of people were expecting, because people thought a reveal was on the horizon, and then we get Nintendo Music out of nowhere, which is crazy. And in addition to this, many believed, myself included, that March would be like the perfect time frame for the Switch 2's launch, similar to the predecessor. And while that's still possible, Xenoblade X's release around that time would be kind of odd if the Switch 2 is coming in the same month. So, yeah, these two random Switch announcements come out of nowhere. We don't even get a Nintendo Direct for Xenoblade. It's like, yep, we're releasing it next year. So a lot of people are kind of confused on what the strategy is here. But before we get to the Switch 2 talk and what it kind of means for that and the release, I just want to talk about Nintendo Music for just a second. Is there any music that we'd like to see added to Nintendo Music? Or is there any gaming soundtrack that's not currently on streaming platforms that we want to see added there? Klein, is there anything that jumps to mind in terms of a must-want piece of gaming music that you want in your ears?
This might sound dumb, but the Nintendo Music launching without Tears of the Kingdom seems crazy to me. Breath of the Wild is there, but Tears of the Kingdom is not. This whole Nintendo Music situation, wild. Just absolutely bonkers. People for years, us living in the Nintendo trenches, asking Nintendo, put the music on streaming, and then they get mad at people for when they take their music and put it up on YouTube, and they claim them. There's been a whole wave of that happening over the last little while, taking people's YouTube channels down, and we're like, we have nowhere to listen. And you want to know what they do? They're like, well, we're gonna launch our own music streaming app called Nintendo Music, where we will do a slow trickle out. We're not even gonna have it all there on day one. There will be a collection of some there on day one, and we will do a slow trickle out of games and soundtracks throughout time. The app itself, it has that Nintendo charm. You can organize by character, which I find very funny. It's like, I want to listen to every KK Slider song that you have on here. But just the fact that we're missing iconic Nintendo soundtracks, like Donkey Kong Country 2, arguably one of the greatest gaming soundtracks of all time, just not there. It's not there at launch. This seems so silly to me. I'm happy that I have access to this music, but what are we even doing? It's Nintendo's Nintendoing again, and I'm really upset about it.
Yeah, it's a weird way to do it, but hopefully that music will come. I think the way they could have done it is if they put Smash Ultimate, because at least it has a breadth of stuff.
I want the Brawl soundtrack. If I can get the Super Smash Bros. Brawl soundtrack on here, it's got some great orchestration, some fantastic, but it'd be an easy way to do a greatest hits of Nintendo music right here, because you have everything there. I don't know.
It's weird. Nintendo's gonna Nintendo. Lauren, is there any music that you want to see either on Nintendo Music or just a streaming app in general, a soundtrack wise?
I gotta say, I don't really always look for video game soundtracks to listen to, but most of the ones that I like are, I think, on streaming. The thing that gets me about this is why do you need your own app? Couldn't you have put it integrated with Apple Music or Spotify? It's the whole downloading a new app, probably signing up for an account, that really just turns me off. But also, I mean, the Animal Crossing music loops enough while I'm playing the game. I don't need to listen to it in my everyday life as well. But I respect that, those things have not been made available before, so I guess enjoy. Something that does stand out to me is that, we have talked recently about PlayStation doing the live concert for their music. So I'm wondering if will that be a trend? Will we be seeing Nintendo doing a live concert? Is that a thing?
Well, they did a Zelda one, but it was online, so you weren't able to go to it, which is a bit of a shame. So That would be the dream. I mean, I'd love a Nintendo like orchestra of some kind. I think it would be amazing. But who knows? They like they do what they want. They just
They
like
do.
decided to do something and
I will
they just
say,
roll
like, with all that said, everything I just said, the second I saw this, I downloaded it and I have it now.
Yeah,
So, like,
exactly.
I'm feeding into the problem, but
Yeah, it's tough. But yeah, the other kind of wrinkle to this is that I was saying for a long time, we're gonna get the Switch 2 reveal in September, October, and then we're gonna get the Switch 2 in March. And I don't think that's gonna happen anymore necessarily. We do know that we're gonna get an announcement before the end of the fiscal year, before the end of Nintendo's fiscal year. But it kind of, at this point, I'm really kind of thrown off in terms of like when we get the reveal, when we get the release. I want to throw it to you guys. What do you think about this? Lauren, do you have any kind of ideas of when we could see this thing?
Knowing Nintendo, it'll be like the last bloody possible moment, because I think they're very much like, we will not adhere to all you people just telling us to release the Switch. We'll do it in our own time. Like all those announcements when they're like, here's the Nintendo Direct. We're not making an announcement about the Switch 2 here. So I think it'll just be so funny when it actually happens. Nobody will believe it. But yeah, I did see some rumors. I can't remember the exact evidence, but that like the production on the Switch 2 console hadn't really started yet, which means it was like definitely not going to like be ramped up in time for it to hit like March. So I wonder if it'll be more of a mid-year thing next year, which means we could get an announcement early next year, maybe within the first few months, maybe like a February kind of vibe. But I'm just throwing that out there, to be honest.
I could see that. I think, at this point, if they had already announced it, I think it would have been fine. But because they've waited this long, I think they're of the mindset they don't want to like jeopardize their holiday sales of like selling the last tricklings of the original Switch, and like announcing that a new Switch 2 is definitively coming on this date next year will probably turn people off of like buying a new Switch for Christmas. So maybe that's the thinking there. But I agree. I think like an early next year probably sounds feasible. At this point, I'm just questioning like, are we gonna have to maybe wait till like November, like next year for this thing? Which would suck because that just seems so far away. And like the Switch at the moment, look, I love the Switch. I love it so much, but it's on its last legs, man. Like this, it's not real. We have Xenoblade Chronicles X. That's like how far we're like. I love that game. To be fair, I adore Xenoblade X. But like when we're getting to the point where we're releasing that on this thing, like we're in the end times, and I feel like there's not much left that they can release on the thing, game-wise. But Klein, do you have any thoughts of when we could see Switch?
It's still getting announced this year. It's still coming in March. I am delusional. I will be delusional until it doesn't happen. But I said it was going to be September, and it wasn't. I said it was going to be October, and it wasn't. And right up until the end of October, I was like, it has to happen any day now. Switch 1 was October 20th, 2016. And God help me, on that morning when I woke up and I had it written in my calendar and it wasn't there. You want to know what we're coming up to though, Tom? November 19th. You want to know what happened in 2006 on November 19th?
What?
The Nintendo Wii was released. The 18-year anniversary. Book it. It's coming then. Tuesday, November 19th, the Nintendo Switch 2 will be announced.
So what you're saying is that the Nintendo Switch 2 is not going to be called the Nintendo Switch 2. It's going to be called the Nintendo Switch with the WII.
No,
and to coincide
why?
with the anniversary.
They would totally do that.
It would be so funny. Oh my God.
I, in my heart of hearts, I genuinely believe this piece of hardware will release in March. It doesn't matter if Xenoblade Chronicles comes out before, during, or after that. Nintendo does what they want to do whenever they want to do it. The Switch 2 will be backwards compatible. There will be Switch games coming up right up until the day that console, and probably well after, is released. It's coming in March. We're going to hear about it. November 19th. Book it.
You heard it here first, folks. The copium is high. It's We're really struggling now, but we need it. We need it soon.
I've got my Alarmo beside me, my Nintendo Music app in my ears.
Please.
I'm ready.
Oh man.
I hope they don't hear this because they'll say no just to troll you.
No, don't put it out there. It's gonna be glorious. There's gonna be a new 3D Mario announced, a new Mario Kart. We're gonna see more of Metroid Prime.